What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Another week is upon us during the offseason, and we got to talk some college football. Week by week, we'll take you through everything going on within the sport, no matter what time of the year it is. Even though it's the offseason, it's springtime. So spring football is upon us. We're having some spring games rolling through some bigger programs. Those who still have it, which is the main topic of tonight's episode, is building that perfect spring game. But first, we'll take you through some recent news, some transfer portal updates, and then we will get to that beautiful end of the episode topic. But we will always lead it off with question of the day. That is a segment that will probably stick around at least for the rest of the offseason. But the boys are here. It's storm season. It's spring season. How's the weather where we're at, gentlemen? I think we're expecting some storms in the Nebraska area tonight, JP.
Rain tomorrow, rain Friday. Rain Monday, rain Tuesday. I think we're just in the old rain here portion. April showers, May flowers, all that shebang. Really hoping tomorrow is going to be nice. Headed to a concert, little Brooks and Dunn, little B&D on a Thursday night. Patio beers are not going to be on the to-do list tomorrow with the rain. But, I'm excited. I'm cool with storms as long as, all the bad stuff happens out in the middle of nowhere on nobody's fields or crops or houses or places, just out in the middle of the prairie, wherever. But yeah, definitely going to be rainy and dreary, which kind of stinks because I feel like we got a good swing of good weather and warm weather, and it's just kind of giving us the showers now.
I feel like I'm reaching my full potential to adulthood because I installed sod in my backyard for 8 hours yesterday. And so now am I the part of the people that are like, man, we could really use some rain? I used to be that guy that hated people that said that, no, we don't need it, man. Just run your sprinkler or something. But no, I'll take the rain because that sod gonna die quick. I'm getting old. Jake, how do you feel about rain? Do you hate it?
Rain is a good thing. Luke Bryan.
The only storm coming might be from my microphone. We'll see if we can last an episode with I don't know, without disaster, I guess.
You were doing fine earlier, and then you started getting really excited, and it sounded
maybe
like
I don't think any of my mics can pick up voice modulation. I got to keep it at the same volume for an hour straight.
We need a tech guy. We need to Play the Fight Song tech guy because we've tried 4 different mics on this guy. It's got to be something with the computer.
Somebody needs to tell me what you ever heard of the website Back Market. I just Googled.
It can't be good.
I just Googled used MacBooks because I don't use a MacBook pretty much outside of this podcast. So
you got to use Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace.
I was gonna say, or Best Buy. Does Best Buy sell
if you want to drop a G?
I was gonna say I don't think they do used.
They
do actually. No free ads, but Apple does certified refurbish. So Apple will actually sell you a used laptop at an Apple store.
I'm sure that's
I think I'm on the same page as you.
$800. No, it's $800 still.
I think, are we all similar that this is the only thing we use our college laptops for? That's the only thing keeping this thing around.
I have a work laptop, so
yeah, I don't use that for the recreational activity of podcasting.
I love this plugin. Hold on, let me use this plugin. You can make this our work laptop. I hit the subscribe button, still on the road to 1,000 on YouTube. So hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video. We're talking college football. If you love the sport, hit the subscribe button. That's all we do here all year long. Shameless plug. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just that's why I asked. This Back Market had really good deals. You could get a used MacBook for $300, $250, and I was like, I'd do that tomorrow if it was trusted. I've been bamboozled, not many times, but a couple of times on trying to get a good deal on some technology stuff. So I'm a little cautious.
Are we bringing back the Xbox 360? Was it the 360 or was it a PlayStation? I can't remember what it was.
I tried to buy jailbroken Xbox, I believe, right?
No, I tried to buy one of the new Xboxes for the college football game,
right.
And I got scammed, and I said, "Screw it, I'm not doing it anymore."
And he still hasn't bought one to this day. So he
No,
uses
no.
a friend's Xbox to play that game. So
I have
Jake,
no.
I'm making an adult decision to buy a new console.
I know we're gonna talk about it when it comes around here eventually, but I have no itch to buy the new game or just play the new game anymore. Like I played it enough, and I was just like, it's fun, it's challenging. I'm not much of a big video games guy, anyways. So I was just kind of like, I got my
I
dosage.
think you're on a lone island there. I'm excited for the new game, excited for the new updates, the more changes they can make. I started playing it again the other day. I think there was a dead period for the game, and I think everybody would agree with that. But I started playing it again the other day, and it was like almost playing it for the first time again. So I'm starting to really enjoy playing it again. 26. There's a lot of capabilities that are out there that they can add into 26 now that they had the base game.
I
JP, are
saw.
you excited for it or no?
I'm excited for it. I'm definitely in the
Good
lull where
man.
I kind of haven't touched it for a month or two. That's just with baseball coming around and playing the show or other stuff. In that game, when I got angry at it, I got angry at it. So
It is
maybe it was just
frustrating.
for the best. Yeah.
It's sad in timeout for a week or two. Just
that
put a little
or I
punishment.
was dropping $90 on a new controller every other week. That's just not what we need to be doing.
I did
Games have gotten
see.
expensive.
I
Yeah,
did
they
see.
did.
Is Enter Sandman? Is that true? Is that actually going to be on the game this year? That's
So
pretty cool.
it's not confirmed to enter Sandman. So in particular, I like this. We'll put this into recent news, but we got question of the day still. Metallica did sign some sort of contractual deal with College Football 26 to be in the game of some sort. Whether that's Enter Sandman or a different Metallica song, I believe it was For Whom the Bells Tolled. Is that the name of the song, correct? The dong. I believe it's going to be like the classic third down song for anybody who uses it. I know Nebraska
Okay,
does. So that's what it was
sure.
for.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're signing a deal with Metallica, it would be ridiculous not to get Enter Sandman in the game. I mean, you're already paying him for Whom the Bell Tolled.
I mean,
So
hey, they had Hurd Street and Fowler, and it's not an ESPN broadcast, so it wouldn't.
they
surprise
need to get the branding.
me.
God.
I wanted to bring that up just because I know how much it bothers you.
It does. And there's another account out there. Shout out to this guy. I don't know his name. It's like a burner-esque account that's so dedicated to getting ESPN back in the game. He tweets it every day. It's like day one. And then when we posted about it on our X channel, follow us at Play the Fight Pod, he immediately DM'd us and was like, guys, post this every day. And I was like, I like this guy. I mean, he's on to something. That's how you get shit done in the social media world. So shout out to him if he's listening. If you're a recurring visitor, welcome back. If you're a new visitor, like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's go into the show for tonight. Let's start with question of the day. This one, I believe, was written by JP, so I'll let him give his answer first. I kind of want to add on to it, if you don't mind. Let's start with your most underrated or overlooked helmet in college football. And then if you've got it, tell me your most overrated. JP.
Oh, I had two down for underrated. I'll just do my first one here. I think the Michigan State white lid is a little sharper than it gets the love for. Like the green looks
I like
good,
the
the
new
black
pass
looks good
in the middle too.
Yeah, but the white with the green Spartan helmet on the side, that's sharp. I think that they use it so often, and it works. It works every time. It's great logo, great colors together, and I think the helmet just needs to get a little more love. Like no one ever talks about Michigan State's lids, and I think they got a great one.
It's a good logo. I respect that choice. Jake, what about you?
I'm pretty simple. I think people that have listened to the show that know that about me when it comes to uniforms and helmets included. But one that kind of comes to mind that I think I'm kind of a fan of is Florida. I really like the logo. I
Great
think
color scheme.
I do really enjoy. Although they don't, I think one of their choices is an orange face mask. I'm not a big fan of that, but
They don't go orange on orange, do they?
No, they do white with orange.
Like the Gator script too, like with
Yeah.
the white face mask, I think, and the blue helmet. Gator script is really cool.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of that. But I mean, I just recency bias, and I saw it today, and I was like, "That's such a good look." I was watching the Coach Prime show on Amazon, and Colorado's all black face mask, black top with just the Ralphie logo, but there's no white in it. It's just gold.
Just the gold and black.
It's just the gold and black.
Yep.
I loved that look. I was like, I just kind of brought me
It's
back.
a good logo.
Yeah, I've kind of forgot about that one. I'm like, they need to do that one more often.
All right, I like those two choices. I can live with those. I think for mine, I wrote down two: one at the Division II level and one at the Power 4 level. leading off with the Power 4 one, I think the new updated retro Maryland helmet that they went to, just the Terps and the script, is just an absolute beauty. I almost buy it. There's a Nebraska-based store in town that always carries all the Big 10 helmets in full size, and I always almost buy it for the shelf back here. So that might be something. This might be my sign to get it. No, it's beautiful. I love their branding, and I actually didn't hate the flag helmets back in the day either. Go ahead.
Can I guess your Division II?
Absolutely.
Pick? Is it Pitt State?
Absolutely, it is. You're 100%. It's the most underrated brand in the world. I think that I would say Pitt State is one of my favorite brands at a non-Division I level. There's a couple of them down there, honestly. I mean, Pitt State, and I believe it's in the same. They might be in the same conference. I could be wrong on this, but Emporia State has a good one.
Isn't it like Isn't it southeastern Missouri State? Is it what are
SEMO?
SEMO. That's that's FCS.
They're FCS.
No, the green and gold team, the Division II green and gold team.
Missouri Southern.
Missouri Southern. Yeah. I think that's
the Griffins.
No, that's Western.
Yeah, you're thinking Western.
How many? It's just name Missouri and then a direction, and there is a school that exists.
Northwest.
Can I ask?
Oh, I'm sorry. Central Missouri was the team that also one of the most underrated brands in the world.
I was gonna bring this one up, but I didn't want to get a bunch of flack for it. Can Notre Dame count as underrated?
No, because it gets talked about in every list of best helmets in college football.
I think that more fits if you were to tell me it was overrated. People love that helmet.
Okay, I guess
it's not underrated. It gets talked about all the time.
Okay,
glad I
give me your overrated helmet, JP.
I mean, helmet and uniform. The Alabama stuff, I don't get. I don't.
You brought that up at least 100 times.
I wasn't prepared for overrated, but that's the one I go to every time because I don't understand the hype. I don't think the crimson color is that great for them. I think there's better shades in there. I don't love the numbers on the helmet. And then I'll turn around and be like, I like Penn State's look though. Maybe just the blue and white looks better than the crimson and white, but it's not there for me.
I'm having a mental moment. Like we've been friends for a long time. It's like we just touched an item we were both reaching for at the exact same time. And it was just like that feeling of just pure unconditional love in my chest. Cause that is the exact right pick. I cannot stand people talking about Alabama having the best uniforms. It looks like a practice uniform. Do something. It looks terrible. I never understand the hype. Numbers on the helmet. Get rid of that trend. I'd rather you have like a winged helmet or even do what Ohio State does with stickers. But just the number is brutal to me. What a great take, JP. Jake, what do you think?
It's not a worse trend than logo on one side, numbers on the other. That one aggravates me.
I just told you guys I'm a simple person. So I like Alabama's not on the top of my list, but I enjoy it. I like Penn State. I like Notre Dame's look.
It's blank. It's not plain. It's literally blank. Like their equipment manager just polishes them up, shifts them off. No decal.
It's more so an appreciation that, like, especially at Alabama, in a world right now where we're always changing uniforms and every team's got 7 alternates. It's just like, no, we're all about football. We're all about winning. We just keep our uniforms clean. We don't care what recruits think. They want to come play for Alabama. They don't want to come play because of our new fancy uniforms.
The stars are starting to align here. Guy that gets scammed on the internet purchasing things. The old head is also like, yeah, who cares about it? We're not playing dress up. Just put on a plain helmet.
Hey,
I can show appreciation for a nice decal.
Absolutely. I do like alternate uniforms. It excites me when Iowa State changes it up. But I'm just saying,
you mean every week,
black and white.
In Alabama's case, I appreciate what they do too. And it's just like, they've always kept it the same. They've never changed. And I think sometimes it's like the Masters in golf. Sometimes just keep it the same. Don't change it. It's a good thing.
If you're comparing Alabama's uniforms to the Masters,
it's unbelievable comparison.
I think it's very nostalgic.
Imagine having a badass elephant as your logo, and you just are like, we'll just slap an old Arial body
in their
font
defense,
12.
I don't know what are they going to throw on the side of that helmet. The A, like just the elephant with like the Alabama and black letters. Like I feel like they're.
It would look
I don't know
so
what you
weird.
put.
It would look
Elephant
so.
trunk, you could make it work. The cool shit they do out there. San Diego State put an entire Aztec wall inside of a helmet that you can barely even tell. Like you can do minimal details to make things really cool.
I'm sure.
Not just a block mailbox number on the side of your helmet.
I'm sure Alabama would be like, well, that's us and that's San Diego State. So we're going to keep it the way it is. I've never heard Alabama fans ever complain about their uniforms. I think that's
Well, no, because they probably think it's the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, that's a little biased.
That's just bias.
There,
yeah.
All right, let's leave that there. We can go on uniforms all night. That was a good question of the day, JP. Let's move on to some recent news in college football. Let's lead it off with some rule changes. A lot came out this past week. We'll start off with kind of a lighter note. The FCS is now getting helmet communication, similar to what the FBS did last year. Same rules apply. One team opts out, the other team will not do it. If they both opt in, they have to be tagged of the player that's wearing that communication. One player cuts off at the same amount of time. Not a huge news, but good for the sport as a whole to kind of get on the same level. This one was a little interesting to me. Any signaling of a T on a kickoff is a fair catch now. So like when guys go like this, when they just do like the incomplete, don't touch it, that would also count as a fair catch. Kind of a rule didn't feel like completely necessary. Maybe making fair catch. What did they call that on Cooper DeJean that time? JP, you got to know the name of that penalty.
Invalid signals.
Yeah, like an invalid signal. It's just
probably helping with that rule. So this one probably sponsored by the University of Iowa. No, disconcerting is when they clap to try and.
That's also insane that Iowa got called for that in the Wisconsin game. And I go, what are we doing? What are we doing?
There's some gross penalties out there, but one that people have kind of been back and forth on, and obviously everything was targeted towards Ole Miss. The bigger news is the faking injury rule. If you go down after the ball is spotted and a medical professional has to come on the field, your team will be charged a timeout. The main keys here, the ball has to be spotted for it to happen. If it's right after the play, no penalty. If you have to burn a timeout late in the game because you're faking an injury and trying to get it, that's going to change the game quite a bit. And if you have no timeouts left, it'll be a 5-yard penalty. This is big news. Obviously, Ole Miss was on all the graphics because they're known for this. Do you guys like this rule or think it was needed? JP?
I still think there's a workaround here. Like if you're in a 2-minute situation and somebody gashes you immediately, right? And you just want to get your bearings. I think they'll find a way before the ball gets spotted to be like pointing down or finding a way that somebody will just drop, right? They'll say the timeout if you have any. I think if we're going to take a timeout and then if you're no timeouts, that's basically like a false start 5-yard penalty kind of thing. 5 yards could mean something, but it's not really. I'd say in most cases, it's not going to change the outcome of things. Like for some kicks, it will. But I feel like if a team needs 6 points, right, and they're on the 35 and you do this and you have no timeouts and now they're on the 30, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, you still get your time. You still get a reset and your defense still got to make a stop, whether they're on the 35 or 30. And so 5 seems a little small. I was thinking like 10 seems a little more doable. But again, let's just see how it plays out. There might be other things involved in kind of enforcing this, and maybe people just kind of back off of it. But it felt like they had to do something, and they decided to start at the lowest possible level instead of getting extreme with the rule right away and just kind of work from there.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a play minimum you have to sit out that they could install to make it even a little bit more like the penalty, everything that they just installed.
Well, some people
stays around, then you
usually,
do,
don't you?
No, I don't want to say the drive because that can get really greasy, but like I think 3 plays because like the guys that come off for a play and then go immediately back in, that's what they're trying to rule out. 3 plays can be a huge difference in a drive, especially within the 2-minute mark and when you're seeing these commonly pop up. So maybe 3 plays that fine line. What do you think, Jake?
Can you really keep track of, I don't know, maybe you have a guy that does it, but can you really keep track of a guy that sits out 3 exact plays? Like what if he goes in?
They got people like refs in the booth and stuff like that. That would kind of help. I'm sure somebody.
Yeah, there's a replay official. There's more officials out there than you think.
No, I'm not doubting you. It's just kind of one of those things. They need to do something about it, but also like they need to tiptoe their way around it and be cautious with it because somebody made a good point one time. It's like, I mean, there's like lawsuits they could like creep into if a guy like is staying on the field because he doesn't want to get a penalty for his team, and then he just falls to the ground and dies of a heart attack kind of thing. So
Dramatic, but I see what you're saying.
it is
Yeah,
an
real dramatic.
extreme and dramatic. And will we ever see it? Probably not. No, but like you can't get too crazy with this penalty, like
Right.
JP said. Otherwise, yeah, you could maybe find that situation, and everybody else, the officials, everybody involved is in huge trouble.
Yeah, last piece before we go to the next topic. The last thing they changed was a little bit of lingo from the referees. Instead of using stands or confirmed, the verbiage will now be overturned if they do change the call, or they upheld the call on the field. Very similar to kind of like, I don't know if people knew this or people learned this last year. Actually have a ref in the family. My uncle's a ref in Conference USA. He says the NFL has a trademark copyright rights of the 2-minute warning. So if you didn't notice, all of college football, it's the 2-minute timeout. Yeah, so that's actually a trademark copyright thing. So I don't know if that has anything to do with what the NFL is going to do, but overturned and upheld is what you'll hear in 2025 and going forward from referee crews. That is the rule changes for this week. Let's move on to some transfer portal news. Let's start off on the bright side of things that makes us look really smart. I'll let Jake go into it, but I'm going to let JP break this down because he wrote an awesome headline that sounds like we are writers and bloggers for a living. Tell us about Georgia this past week, JP, and then Jake, you can toot your own horn a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a little kick out of the fellas as we were prepping for the show. So, writing this on Easter Sunday, Georgia decided they were going to have a hell of a day going and getting a couple kids that were really needed in a lot of ways we talked about last week. So headline, Georgia has a sky high 420. I thought it was pretty funny. They got 3 commitments out of the day.
They did.
And some pieces that I kind of think are needed. And Jake touched on it last week with what a lot of schools needed to do along the defensive line, whether it was the edge or on the interior, as well as, the running back room at Georgia's kind of been by committee the last couple of years. How about go get another guy pretty experienced and Josh McCray from Illinois? Obviously, I think the one that gets the most talk here is Elo Mendoza, the kid from Army. That's a pretty good pass rusher and seems to not just be a American Conference pass rusher of note. I think they're saying he can make an actual impact here. Now, is he going to put up the same numbers? Maybe not. But if he can draw a couple more eyes and a couple more chips and blocks for kids, it opens up for other kids, right? So it's a big one. And then the last one being the Miami defensive lineman, Josh Horton, just beefing up. We know what the defensive line has gone for the last couple of years in the portal, especially in this cycle, in the spring one. People get paid at the defensive line in this situation. People see that they're missing, size in the trenches. Maybe it's a run stopper in the middle. And Georgia's like, you know what? We're tired of waiting around. Let's go get 3 in one day. And I'm sure it just kind of happened to be that, Easter Sunday that all this dropped and happened. But it's a heck of a day if you're a Georgia fan.
Jake, go ahead. Give your 2 minutes. You did talk on Georgia last week. They kind of pulled the moves that you exactly said they needed to. How are you feeling about the Dogs now?
Yeah, I think it's massive for Georgia because this was a transfer portal class that consisted of last week what I said, receivers and safeties. And now they've really filled some spots that I think they can be super excited about. Do you guys remember the name Trey Moore, the UTSA transfer defensive end? Was one of the best pass rushers in the SEC last year at Texas. I believe he might even be back. I'd have to go back and look. Sorry, don't quote me on it. But that's what Mendoza reminds me of. A guy who can play like outside linebacker, defensive end, really good pass rusher in a 3-4 kind of scheme. And I think he's going to be really good and a huge impact guy for Georgia right away. And I thought that was the first thing Georgia desperately needed. And then a guy like Josh Horton can be just more of a depth piece for Georgia. And I think that's what they desperately needed. It's basically the difference between their I don't want to say dynasty, their back-to-back championship run and what they've put together kind of the last 2 years is just the lack of depth on the defensive line. A little bit of receivers, but I think the defensive line and not having 2 deeps because of the transfer portal has been just their Achilles heel the last 2 years. So Horton's huge. And then McCray, I love the pickup. They lost, was it Bronson Robinson? Was like a former 4 or 5-star guy running back for them. He left, just didn't work out. And then I think they get an upgrade in McCray. And they already picked up some really good receivers in the winter. I'm sure they're not done. I think there's another defensive lineman out there for him. Not a super big name, but somebody for them. But I think it's a huge win for Kirby in the spring portal.
All right, moving down the line, let's stay in the SEC. Let's talk about the actual college football trade. It's so fun that we have this show during this time where we're getting a lot of firsts within the sport that's been around for so long. Joey Aguilar, the former App State quarterback, makes it official and transfers to Tennessee, while Tennessee's quarterback transfers to where Joey Aguilar just came from in UCLA. So we literally just interchanged these guys. Nico is officially a UCLA Bruin, also brought his brother with him, who was an Arkansas enrollee, they believe, and is rumored to go online. There's some angry people saying that he accepted some NIL money after he enrolled at Arkansas, and now he's back committed to Tennessee. I'm sorry, not Tennessee, with UCLA. So this is an interesting story. Joey Aguilar in the SEC, Nico in the Big Ten. How are we feeling about this overall? And do you think Nico, I mean, we got to touch on it last week. Do you think he can be a dude in the Deshaun Foster system, JP?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to see what UCLA looks like, right? They really like to run the football a season ago. Is the thought process for Nico to be a better passer, more of a pocket guy, and really go through progressions and make plays? Because that's kind of what you'll have to do at UCLA. For me, he has an opportunity to get himself better, but I'm not going to say he automatically bumps UCLA up a full tier within the Big Ten. I don't see that really being the fix. I don't think UCLA was very good last year. I'm not really convinced they're going to be very good here in the near future. It's a tough conference to win in. It's a tough place to win in general, and it's way tough to win there now. It feels like they are a little behind in some aspects than the rest of the Big Ten. Now, the Madden Iamaleava thing, I did not follow his recruitment super closely. I don't know the super hype around him, if there is, and kind of what the word on the street is for him. But I can tell you that I understand why Arkansas would be so damn pissed off and why they're doing this, like, buy us out now. Like, that's insane.
You live this.
Yeah, it happened to the University of Iowa, and obviously Iowa was one of the first ones that happened to, where a kid took the money and then left within a month. And it's just a frustrating thing, and it's not fair. It's not, it's not fair to the school. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the football program, the coaches. And to be honest with you, it's a little scummy, like a little bit. Like, I get that. Like,
that.
I just don't want it to get twisted to the point where I'm calling like this kid scummy or like a scumbag or anything like
that. Shady might be an easier
That's
word.
the only word I'd come for. Yeah, that shady might be a better word. But
no, you can say it because it's not a credit to the kid, because how many voices are in his ear? You can't put it all on the kid. He's probably got an NIL agent in his ear, and
I just don't like the way it was handled, and I don't think that's a very respectable way to go about it. And I think it's a little karma-ish too. Like, you're playing the wrong side of that. Like, oh, just show up for a little bit, take your money. Like, and I'm not saying that I know he's planning to do this the whole time, but I can't imagine that once Nico, if he was starting the conversations in December, that this wasn't already on his brother's mind or his family's mind. So it's an odd situation. I'm not a fan of it. So we talked about buyouts and things like that upon transfers. This is one I fully support. Like, give the money back, or the school you're going to better be throwing that money back their way, because that is just, it's not cool. Like, I'm just not a fan of it. And we're in a sport where, deception, lying, cheating is kind of a norm, and it has been for a long time. This is one I just think is a little too far.
Jake, your thoughts quickly.
I just think nobody wins in this situation. Nico is taking over a bottom tier Big Ten team on a pay cut.
Well, Tennessee. They had a couple of nice wins last year.
Whatever you want to tell yourself. Joey Aguilar is put in a tough spot, man. Like, imagine going from Boone to LA to Knoxville. And now, there's kind of no pressure on you, but like, you're still an SEC school, and people expect to win and compete for playoff spots just every year based on no matter what, just because they pay for it. So he's put in a tough spot. And I think you got to downgrade. Tennessee did. Like, the upside and the potential out of Nico, you're just missing on, straightforward. And then Nico, like, again, I don't think he turns UCLA into this 8 or 9 win team. Like, they're still going to win 5 or 6 games, maybe, and then
Mhm.
throw Madden on top of that. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a big, scout, but from everything that I know and hear is that like this Madden kid's, he's an okay recruit. He's not like I don't see this being the quarterback of the future if Deshaun Foster wants to compete for Big Ten titles in 3 or 4 years. I don't think this Madden kid's your guy. So just all in all, it's a crappy situation, but hopefully this turns into a good example for the future of just the portal and college football and these kids in general.
The Tennessee quarterback room, I didn't want to like sit there and say it's guaranteed to be his job, Aguilar's job.
I don't think it
But
is.
it's a young quarterback room though. Like if
Yes.
you go look at it, I was reading up on their one of their fan sites today and just kind of what their beat writers. Redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger and then freshman George McIntyre, the 2 guys in that quarterback room right now. So Aguilar being the third, it's a short little. I mean, it's a small quarterback room, and they sound like they really like the Merklinger kid. Probably was going to be the guy until they brought somebody in. I'm sure they were, had conversations about that. They were going to bring somebody in this window anyway. But I can't say with unknown certainty that he's the guy going forward. And if he is, I think it's a year. He's a bridge guy. And can you be enough of a bridge guy to keep the wheels on the bus and go get this thing to 8 or 9 wins? 9 wins probably conversation for a playoff spot, no?
Let me ask this question because I don't think this has been asked on any other podcast. Does Joey Aguilar make it all 12 games? Does he start all 12 games this year?
No shot.
You don't think so?
No.
You think one of these young guys will take I should rephrase this question. In assuming that Aguilar doesn't start all 12, are you assuming that Tennessee's having a bad season? Or
Yes.
like, is Tennessee at 7 wins, 8 wins in November, but they're going to give this freshman a shot just because maybe the defense has been that good?
I would say it's because of a bad year.
I think you can put it both ways. I think a bad year definitely for sure, obviously, is a reason it could be. But I think it'll be more like a situation where Aguilar's in the game. They start to fall behind. Here comes one of the young guys. He brings him back, shows a lot of high side. All of a sudden, the next game, they're going to try and change the look and let this young guy kind of take the keys to the car.
I didn't even realize this. And let's just be honest. Aguilar was fine, but he was bad last year. So they have that neutral site game with Syracuse, whatever Syracuse will be. You have East Tennessee State. Okay. There's a couple of warm-up games on these pretty poor defenses. You have Georgia coming to town the 3rd week of your season. Like, this is a kid who's got to turn it around from Sun Belt Conference play to now I have to see Georgia in the first 3 weeks of my Tennessee debut. It's going to have to grow up quick.
He's definitely going to have to grow up quick. Let's stay on, you mentioned briefly Syracuse. They're in the rumor mill to get Steve Angeli, Notre Dame.
Rumor. No more rumor. It's confirmed. Just happened.
It's confirmed? Wow. Breaking news live on the show. Take the question marks away on the document. Steve Angeli headed to Syracuse. What do we think about this? Obviously, a big name coming from Notre Dame, team that played in the national championship last year, a guy expected or at least competing for the starting job over there, now going to play for the Orange. Big addition for them. What do you think on him in that move, Jake?
I think it's a good fit. I think if you're Angeli, you have to be excited just because you saw what Kyle McCord was able to do last year.
Led college football in passing. Great note.
I think you should be pretty excited about that if you're Steve Angeli. Look, the Notre Dame side of things, I think they like their young guys. I think they really like Carr. I don't think that reflects what Angeli couldn't be this year. I think he still has the capability of being pretty solid for them. Like, if he can get Syracuse to win 7 games this year, I think that's a big win for Fran Brown. They lost a ton of dudes to the portal. We already saw their best receivers gone. And if he can throw it around the yard and do it efficiently, I think that's a big win for him and Syracuse in general. He's a Northeast kid. He's from like Pennsylvania or something. So I love the fit. I think this is going to be fun. And I think our friend Reese should be somewhat excited about it.
All right, let's move it down. Let's go to a name in the portal, not to be committed yet. As to my knowledge, God knows it could have happened while we were on the show again. But Bernard Gooden, the USF defensive end, who's named to be a top 50 transfer by 247 Sports. could be a big pickup for somebody. Jake, maybe the Georgia piece that you were talking about earlier. JP, where do you think he lands?
I think there are your regular players here in this one. I was actually just looking up the story to see the latest on him. But I think you're going to see a Miami in the mix. Texas will be in the mix. Texas has already made a move or two, but I think that they are going to continue to add. Again, we've talked about this a lot. To me, USF is not a school that necessarily breeds defensive talent, especially not in the trenches. So for this kid to find his way into the portal, in the spring portal, it's going to be a heck of a payday, and he's going to land somewhere that he's going to probably and hopefully be happy with. But to predict it, I'm not 100% sure on where he'll end up, but I am 100% convinced that his payday is just going to influence kids in the future at the defensive line position to just continue to go into the spring portal after. Like, it just feels like every year these kids get paid, whether you're top end, middle end, any of that, because teams need depth and they're willing to pay for it.
Jake, you gave a correct-ish prediction, it looks like, with Trevor Pena last week. Any prediction on where this guy will land?
I think you got to see some of the dominoes that are falling. Mendoza goes to Georgia. Ohio State gets Bo Atkinson, that North Carolina D end. I think JP nailed it with Miami. I think Miami's a player here. I don't know anything, and I don't even know if he's got any scheduled yet. Like, I couldn't find a scheduled visit on his timeline at all yet. Maybe South Florida's trying to pay up for him. I doubt it, but I think they've got a little bit of money. And then two other names that I saw, Penn State and Tennessee were two teams I was like, I think they both could replace, Abdul Carter, James Pierce. I know they got young guys that recruit really well, but those are two teams with extra cash that I'm sure could definitely use them.
Oh, Penn State is a great call out there. I could see this just being a Penn State level guy that's just a super impactful with his first year within that scheme, new system, new defensive coordinator. So God knows that's going to be an interesting one to follow. Next name, David Stone, the Oklahoma defensive lineman, goes into the portal, comes back out of the portal. Oklahoma pays up. He will stay in Boomer Soonerville. Big pickup, big retention piece for the Sooners. What do you think about that move, Jake?
I think anytime you can pay up to keep a 5-star defensive lineman going into his second year, going to be a win. I can't sit here and act like I know a ton about him, but it's just kind of one of those things. I don't think, especially if you're Oklahoma, you can't let a guy like that away from you. Like, if you're not paying up for that guy, your peers and counterparts are definitely going to.
Yep. Yeah, and it might be too short of a window to do a full, spring transfer portal winners and losers. But right now on my board, Oklahoma seems to be a winner, right? Like you get John Mateer back then, you add Jaden Knott. If he can stay healthy, obviously that's a big piece. And then retaining this, finding the money that they're finding is going to be huge going into a make or break Brett Venables year. JP, what do you think on the Sooners transfers this far?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit a couple of good spots. I think defensively, like, there's not a ton that they've hit portal-wise this year. I kind of think they really like what's already there on defense. I think what's returning, what they've recruited through the high school ranks, I think they are very confident in that front seven. And honestly, it wasn't a bad defense last year. They were very good in the linebacking core. They had a really solid defensive front, a young one at that. And if it just continues to get better, like, that's what Venables does, right? He builds defenses. If they can continue to just find an identity in that, and we talked about it a couple shows ago, good defense and a heck of a running game. And that is exactly what they've done this year. And so Oklahoma is one of those teams I've got circled to watch here in 25. Like, I am really intrigued to see what they look like. Like, not in week 2 or 3 or 4. I want to see Oklahoma week 9, like 8, 9, 10, right in there. That I want to find that sweet spot and see what Oklahoma's all about this year.
I'm glad you mentioned the high school developmental defensive pieces that Venables is bringing in, because people kind of, I don't think they forget, but reminder, he came from a team that pretty much only recruits high school kids in Clemson, and where he had an elite defense after an elite defense. So it's a defensive-minded guy, and if he can retain these pieces that he's going to develop, look out for the Sooners in the SEC picture late in the year. All right, open floor. Anybody else in the portal, names floating around out there or landed that you find interesting, Jake?
I'm going to shamelessly plug this one because I think we need to. It got me kind of rolling too last night. Like, I think I might put a little project together here soon on like 3 things to know about every single team, like just to sound like you know what you're talking about, the water cooler. And this was kind of one of those things that got me thinking. Remember the name Giovanni McCoy?
Yep.
Quarterback at
Idaho,
Oregon State, transfers to Texas State, doesn't make it through spring. Now he's hitting the portal. It sounds like he's going to be at Temple. And then on top of that, I think it's because he lost the job to Pitt transfer Nate Yarnell. So Nate Yarnell seems to be the starter, I think, at Texas State from my little research. I know they brought in a guy from Auburn too, but replacing Jordan McLeod, that was kind of fascinating looking that up.
Man, this is one of those that's like, I think it's a learning curve for kids in the portal in some ways. Like, you want to stay and be a superstar in the FCS? If your best offer is Oregon State, like I understood it was probably some coaching changes. I think he followed, right? He took and some other guys from Idaho.
Yeah, because he went to New Mexico.
You leave again, and it doesn't work out, and now you're leaving again. And do you want to be at Temple or do you want to finish out at Idaho? You know what I'm saying? Like, battle it out in the middle to the bottom half of the AAC, or
Temple just picked up Keeler from Sam Houston, so maybe the guy to turn it around. I think this is the stuff I love, the rabbit hole I love to jump into, is following quarterbacks in the transfer portal, like bouncing from place to place, kind of like the Nico thing. Like, Nico leaves, Aguilar takes his spot. We've never seen that example before, but like, you just follow all this stuff, and it's kind of interesting to tag along quick and try to keep up with who's starting at where before we get into it in June.
A recent commitment that I kind of like talking about, Murad Watson, was defensive lineman out of Syracuse. He was their best defensive lineman a season ago, probably one of their best defensive players a season ago. Texas. Told you, like, Texas is going to go get pieces and they're going to pay for him. But this sounds like this kid is built for the task and to play SEC ball. So I thought that was a good get as well. And obviously we talked Texas on some other spots, but that was one I wanted to circle and talk about.
JP, Brandon Sullivan visiting Tulane. Thoughts on that?
That'd be kind of cool. Good for Sully. I got no ill will towards him. I get it 100%. That would kind of be a cool get. I mean, Temple's in the market for just about any quarterback they can talk to in some ways.
I think.
What's with Iowa? Sorry, I got a question. What's with Iowa picking up the Wake Forest kid?
That's what I was about to say, Jake.
Fair question. Yep. So when Iowa brought in Wake's former offensive coordinator to be the analyst, that's your connection, right? The thought process being, one year Gronowski, you have the Sullivan kid who's a freshman, it's his first year on campus, and then you got Jackson Stratton. The thought process being in Hank Brown.
What about the Auburn kid? Yeah,
Hank Brown. Yep, Hank Brown said to be kind of the future of this whole thing. The Wake kid has a lot of talent, and I really think Lester likes what he is and how he plays football. He kind of fits the mold that he's looking for. Thought process being 3 or 4 years down the road, probably 2 or 3, fighting for that job with a shot at it. Does he stay there for that amount of time? I'm not sure. He's going to be a redshirt freshman this year. But I don't dislike it. I mean, I don't want Jackson Stratton being my quarterback in 2 years. That's my whole process, right? Like, I think Hank Brown, this kid, and then the Sullivan kid are the 3 that I'd really be looking at here in 2 or 3 years for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Does Iowa have too many quarterbacks?
No.
Controversial?
Everybody's got 4 or 5 on their roster for sure.
Yeah, I think that 4 or 5 is the correct number, I would say, for majority of rosters. The one story I had noted down that we did not share last week, but it was kind of last week into this week move, is Kentucky transfer to Nebraska. Hardly Gilmore was dismissed on a violation of team rules, goes back to Kentucky. So even though they lost their wide receiver coach and a main piece in Dane Key to Nebraska, and he went with them, he'll be back in the SEC. So a name to follow within that offense. I mean, those were a couple of bright spots, Dane Key and that and that really bad underperforming Kentucky team. But him being back in the SEC, he'll make an impact on that team.
He got in trouble? Is that what you said?
Yeah, violation of team rules. He got booted off the week before he entered the portal, and then he ends up back.
Violation of team rules on your first instance to get you kicked off the team had been pretty significant team rule.
Yeah,
No
I
pun
would
intended.
search some. God knows, all I've read is some Twitter experts on the exact violation, so I'm not going to say
Go to the
what they
message
said.
boards. That's the
Yeah,
most
they always
credible
know.
source you could find is a message
Yeah,
board.
I've seen some
I
drug-related news. I've seen some assault-related things. So God
all
knows
good
what it
things.
actually is. Yeah, the things that he is back in Lexington. So good luck to Kentucky and Harley Gilmore this next coming season. But a little back and forth movement there in the portal, 2025 in a nutshell. Now let's go to the point of tonight's episode. We are 45 and a half minutes in. This should be fun, but before we do that, we want to remind you to shop at our great sponsor, No Rivals, shopnorivals.com, and use the code PTFS at checkout on all of your beautiful new college hats for this upcoming season. They're adding so many teams and designs by the day. Check them out at shopnorivals.com. Check for your team if you don't see them. Add in something, put in a request to your team, maybe find a different team, support a G5, find a great Power 4 retro logo. All their new designs are so unique. Check them out today and use that code at checkout for free shipping on all of your premium collegiate headwear. The other big news, shout out No Rivals, but the other big news in-house, we have our first merch type thing we are releasing and selling to you. Check out our stickers. Let's lead it off with the general logo one. Excuse the ring light popping up there, but the general logo
Here, let
one.
me turn that off.
Yeah. Well, it's mine.
That's yours. My bad.
I'll flick it off there for you. But the general logo, primary, good size. That's connected to my head. I'm pretty average size head, but massive sticker here, along with the PTFS, the classic Play the Fight song. Start up the conversation with your coworkers. And then this is the official stamp of Play the Fight song. If you're in here and you're listening to this show, you are a certified ball knower. So this is the ball knower sticker, Play the Fight song. You pick it up in your 3-pack. You get all 3 for the price of $10. Hit us with a DM on X or Instagram. Tell us you want one. We'll get your information. We'll ship it out to you. Payments will be through Venmo. I'll do a post on this so you can follow up with it later. But the first Play the Fight song merch is out there. So if you are out there and you want a 3 sticker pack to show your support, do it, and all proceeds will go direct to the function of the show. It's not free to do this, people. We pay to do it. So we appreciate your support in advance, but check those out today.
While supplies last.
While supplies last. Yeah,
sure.
It's limited quantity, 100 of each sticker. Once they're out, we'll probably reorder, but let's run out as fast as possible. Get to them while they're hot. All right, now let's go to the point of tonight's show. Welcome in, YouTube fans. Hit the like button on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Let's build the ideal college football spring game. This is a controversial topic. It's been hot all offseason, like I said at the beginning of the show. Deion Sanders has come out with a new idea. Matt Rule canceled his, started a whirlwind down of other programs canceling theirs, doing different things. Don't want to show too much with an open portal there. And we've had some normal spring games already. What is your ideal spring game, Jake? What does it entail? Is it just your team? Is it televised? Tell us all the details and why it is the way it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this first. Did anybody watch the Colorado spring game last week?
Yes.
No.
I did a little bit until they were doing 7-on-7. That is like my biggest pet peeve. So
7-on-7 is like the new AAU basketball. It's getting out of control.
It is. It's just like that's so you can expect that in my spring game. We will not be doing 7-on-7. But I did take a couple things away that I did enjoy from Colorado spring game. Mine's going to be 3 quarters. We're going to play a 3-quarter game. You're not there to play 4 quarters. It's not there to be a super big, long event. It's just kind of a fun little thing to do. The first quarter, the starters are going to play. First team offense versus first team defense. Take a couple of breaks in between. The second quarter is going to be the second stringers. Offense, first team or second string offense versus second string defense. Third quarter, third string, and walk-ons are going to play. This is how it's going to work. Every possession is going to start at the 20. First downs are 2 points for the offense. Touchdowns are 6 points for the offense. Field goals are 3 for the defense. How you can score: turnovers are 6 points. 3 and outs are worth 4 points. Missed field goals or like a turnover on down is 3 points. There will be no kickoffs. There will be no punts. Basically, if you don't cross midfield and it's fourth down, you just have to elect to restart back at the 20. So everything starts at the 20-yard line. The offense can only go for it if they cross their opponent's 40-yard line. Otherwise, you're kind of in field goal range. That's the only time you can actually legitimately go for it on 4th down. So those are kind of my points. Those are how you score. It's always kind of fun to see the starters play, but I think spring games are there for, you want to see the 2 deep and the 3 deep. Like, who do you have for the future? Kind of make it more about them. That's why the 2nd and 3rd quarters are really important for those guys to get that opportunity. For the fans, open tailgate lots. You got to open it up, just not like 5 hours like a normal game, but like 3 hours before. Give people a reason to show up. Tailgating is a huge part of why people go to football games. Let's just be honest. Entice them to go hang out, meet with friends and family, just like they do in the fall. That gets them excited to go into this game. And that's why I like 3 quarters. We're not dragging this thing on. It's not a super long game. It doesn't matter to me if it's televised or not. I think between every single quarter, do fun live raffle games that go towards the NIL, like just in basketball, for instance, or like hockey. You throw a puck towards midfield or mid ice to try and win, whatever. All the proceeds will go to, a little bit towards the winner, and the rest will go to NIL. And then I think for if you want people there, you need the marching band there. Like Iowa State, when they did theirs, it was barely a spring game, but they had the marching band like going through their stuff like it was a real live game. That was awesome. And then lastly, you got to do something for the students. Offer something free for students, whether it's maybe just a t-shirt or free pizza before the game, something to get them there, to get people in the seats and to pay attention. So,
are you charging for tickets?
I went back and forth on that. Like if you're a place like Nebraska where you sell out your spring game, I think you charge like $10 to $20 at the door, and that all goes towards the NIL. But like I thought about like Iowa State, like in weather wise, it's been the reason they don't get a ton of attendance too. But like nobody shows up, so like if you're gonna charge, like is it gonna hinder attendance? I would rather more worry about attendance being there than like trying to get money for it, because I think people being in the stands gives these freshmen who just went through spring ball a real feel of like, oh crap, we're playing in front of 50,000 people. Like this is a big deal, like gets their juices going and gets them going and prepared for the fall. So whatever gets me to people in the stands, maybe I'm sure SEC schools, Nebraska, maybe even Iowa can charge, but I don't know if every school can.
All right. I like that. There's nothing I heard there that I don't enjoy. I like the idea of getting a dedicated quarter for third strings and walk-ons to really see that 2 and 3 deep. That would be interesting to see walk-ons, especially now that they're competing with a roster limit, to really give them a televised look at who stands out over who. So I like that piece. JP, build me your perfect spring game.
Yeah, you bet. We're going to start at 3:30. That's going to be kickoff for this thing. We are going to play an in-state FCS or regional opponent. We're going to bring them in. We're going to pay them, basically take them off our fall schedule, be like, hey, we still support the heck out of your program. We want this to be, they have good relationships, most of these schools, right? So we're going to bring in a UNI. We'll bring in a Drake, probably not a Drake. That's a little too low. South Dakota, just somebody regional, and really do it that way. This is going to be a full coach-controlled scrimmage. Regular points, regular timing on quarters. Thought process there being a coach can kind of stop after a play is made, right? Like something happens and you can kind of sit there and be like, okay, stop before like this ball gets reset, kind of talk somebody through something. Obviously not like whole 10-minute conversations with a kid playing DB or safety, but enough to kind of like coach them out of it. Like if a coach wants to see another situation again or a play again, have fun. Like that's fine. It's going to be set up the same way. We're going to let them play like it's an actual game. I want it treated like game day as well. For example, the University of Iowa, they stay in a hotel as a team outside of Iowa City to avoid distractions. We're going to bust in the same way we do then. We're going to do the hawk walk right past the Kinnick statue. We're going to take it the same. Coaches and players, exactly how we'll do that. I want the NIL collective and the university to put on a massive tailgate, family-friendly type thing. Maybe this thing starts at 11 or noon, right? If for anybody that is a paying donor to the NIL or a donor to the university, it's free to attend. Everybody else, it's super cheap, like $10 to get in. It's got kids games. It's got merch. It's got all this different stuff. Like you can silent raffle stuff, just a lot of stuff to build money and give to the collective. That the thought process being, make a day of it, right? Enjoy it. Like Jake's saying, open tailgate lots, do your thing. But this little area is going to be like the main draw. Like this is where we want people to be at, during the game. I kind of go back and forth on how long it'd be and if it's going to be full contact. I think it would be for a little bit, but like when the ability you can wrap up. We're not taking dudes to the ground. I don't need it. You and I not having a quarterback week 1 because somebody lit him up on 3rd and long on a sack. And then
Or Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, seen it happen. Iowa used to consistently have running back injuries in the spring, and kids wouldn't play. Post game. Now, this is where I think we have a little fun with it. I took it as like the whole day. Like we're running this as a football program as an NIL collective in the University of Iowa or whatever school. Let's just say it's the school that I'm running. We're going to have a legit event afterwards, right? This thing's going to be
Thinking
free
like
to
monster
attend.
truck or what?
No, yeah. Monster trucks in Kinnick Stadium bringing the dirt. It'll be a whole thing. NIL event, free to attend, concert area, 21 plus, right? We're selling booze, we're selling merch, we're doing all this stuff. We're meeting donors, we're meeting people. And maybe like right after the game, the kids and coaches can have it available for pictures or autographs and stuff. But after that, we're bringing in like a local band that's kind of gotten big, or a low level, like we're not spending a ton of money on our entertainment, right? But we're bringing in somebody people want to see, right? And it's free, but all the proceeds from merch, from booze, from food, parking, all this stuff is going into the collective, and we're going to go through it that way. So I kind of wanted to make a day of it. Hit your family, like make sure your families can get there if they want. It's not too expensive to attend, because if you paying to go to the thing beforehand, we're not paying to go into the game. I'm going to make the game free. But then like wanting to keep people around and get interactive with it, you don't have to attend to the game to go to these two things. But I think just making a day of it and like this event, I think goes a long ways as well. But I want the game to be as realistic as possible, because I think it's important to get a lot of new starters, right? Kids coming in through the portal in that winter window, high school kids, early enrollees. I think it's important to kind of get that expectation and how things go down. And so that's kind of how I wanted to build all of it. Is there? I think there's real opportunity there. And so that was my thought process.
All right. There's a lot there to unpack, but I enjoy it. I do think a full day is kind of the thought I was going out of it too. Like I want it to be centered around also active sports happening was my first thought. Like one thing I think is mandatory, and I think it should be mandatory for all Power 4 schools. I think it's a massive revenue stream that they miss out on. And Oregon kicked it off. Is Nebraska, this is their first year doing a surplus sale, is what they call them. And it's all the surplus equipment.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that would be so
all
cool.
Surplus equipment of old game jerseys, alternate helmets, and they sell even separate pieces, helmet shells versus the face mask. You can mix and match. You purchase them from $10 to $15 a piece, and you kind of make your own stuff, and you get access to player-issued equipment that is not needed. And it's all stuff from the past. They have collectible items, all these things. And that kicks off 9 a.m. I'll see you in Lincoln Saturday morning.
You better be there way before 9 a.m.
7. We're getting there at 7 before 9 a.m. Yep.
That's awesome, though. I love that.
It's that I think should be a requirement for all schools to do. I think every fan base would get involved there. So I think that would definitely be on my list. But then I'd go game at, I love your time frame, JP. I'm going 4 p.m. because I want a noon home baseball or softball game on campus going on before. All-inclusive ticket costs for both events at $20. Fill the baseball stadium, fill the softball stadium, have it be a dedicated sporting event, sling your drinks, your food there, a massive revenue bump.
Baseball goes into extra innings. Wouldn't you want to do football first, baseball?
You already made your nut there. We're probably not going to go anyway.
That's 4 hours. Games don't go 4 hours anymore unless they're
not even close. But then you journey on over to the football stadium, and obviously this is campus pending. It makes it way tougher to get involved. But whatever sport is near campus, do that one. And then you get into the football stuff. On the football stuff, I kind of kept it away from the game style. I thought, maybe I guess I followed the Nebraska strategy, especially with an open portal window. I think that's the biggest problem with the spring games being when they are, is I can watch a spring game, be like, damn, that guy's good. He may not make, chart 1, but he's going to make chart 2 or 3. He make chart 1 here. Let me go offer him an extra 50 G's on top of his money. And now I take him away. I want to eliminate that to an extent. I don't care if it's televised or not. but I would really like to see like a one-on-one focused practice style, whether it be one-on-ones DB one versus wide receiver one, or that'd be the Oklahoma drill. Fun stuff that you think of good football practices just to entertain going on in different spots of the stadium. Let fans move around, sit in different seats, like just make it fun. I don't think at the end of the day that I've never been a guy that's super dialed into, being at Nebraska spring game and watching that practice. Just like make events going around it, just one full day of being a part of the program, but giving your daily dose of college football in April, because that's really the best part of spring football to me is, I turn on the TV and I can watch Colorado, whether or not it's 7-on-7 or they're kicking 19 field goals in a row like they did. And I'm still watching maybe a similar or a base look at the product that I'm going to watch week after week after week comes August. So I think making an event like JP said is exactly where my head was at, but that would be my ideal spring day equipment surplus sale number one on the list for me though, gentlemen. Any disagreements from what you heard from other people, other ideas?
Jake, you're getting too complicated on the scoring. Nobody follows that stuff.
No, it's
I lost him while he was talking about it.
Colorado had like 6 things to follow. Mine's super simple. For offense, on offense, this is how you score points. Every first down is worth 2 points. Every touchdown is worth 6 points. A field goal is worth 3 points. How does the defense score points? You get a turnover, that's 6 points. Same as a touchdown. A 3-and-out is worth 4 points. Just because I think if you get them off the field, that should be rewarded more than a first down for the offense. And then a missed field goal or a turnover on down, you get rewarded out of that. It's 3 points. It's like 1 for 1. I'm basically going with this.
What if somebody gets 3 first downs and no
who
points?
gives a shit about the score? That's what I'm saying. It's
it makes it a little fun competitive game out of it. It's like that's why like we're going 3 quarters, offense versus defense, like incentivized.
Okay, so the scoreboard literally says offense, defense, right? Like that's who's competing there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I can get behind that a little bit.
You can just put the rules on how it's scored up on the Jumbotron. Like I've seen that before, and it's pretty easy to follow. Colorado had a ton. It was so confusing. There was like 7 different ways they were.
Thank God they just got a Jumbotron to put that up. When I was at Folsom 2 years ago, it was like watching Michael Scott's dinner party. Like, this little itty bitty corner TV. Couldn't even read it.
You know how much they were charging to get in? It was like $100. Like the lowest.
That $54 million extension ain't free.
They were true. Well, I think part of it you're paying for and this is another thing we could have thrown into it, is like honoring. We already talked about this, but they did the retirement of Travis and Shador's number, like in your spring game. It's a good idea to bring people in the stands. I wouldn't go to a degree of like retiring jersey numbers, but like bringing alumni back and like big NFL guys for your programs that's also a good thing to do as well. We never really, none of us touched on.
Whoever made the edit of Shadur Sanders' name on the stadium as Dion's kid, kudos to you. That was a elite social media edit there. So shout out to that guy. But I thought you were going to say honor past champions or past teams or past Heisman winners.
Do that.
We do plenty of that shit at Nebraska, dude. We do not need another game to honor another champion or an old Heisman winner. That's why we're all set there.
It depends on school.
I gotta pick a game this year. I could probably just name a random one. It's probably honoring Johnny Rodgers. He carries the Heisman with him everywhere. The '94 national title team. I've seen them do the tunnel walk as many times as I've seen the active team do the tunnel walk. So it's just kind of, I guess, school by school of how often you pay homage to greatness. But Nebraska does plenty of it.
To JP's point about bringing an FCS school versus FBS, and people might say like, this will never happen, like Syracuse and Colorado getting together, like that will never happen. Literally in my backyard 3 weeks ago in Division II, Sioux Falls and Nebraska Kearney played a real live spring game, and there was a ton of people there, and it was free admission.
Sweet stadium, by the way.
I was just, I think it's Bob Young Field. I think I got to know my Sioux Falls culture, but no, I was pissed that I didn't even know about it. And I'm like driving by the stadium, and I'm like, dude, there's going on. I was like, there's so many people there. Like, is there a soccer game going on? They just pull up Twitter and they're playing each other. So it can happen. And I think that was a super cool idea.
All right, that is everything on our building a perfect spring game. Let us know in the comments what you think the perfect spring game would look like. I want to tell a quick Nebraska plug story just while I'm thinking about my experience at Nebraska games. And I don't make fun of Nebraska often as a diehard fan, but one thing we joke about all the time with the NFL draft coming up is Nebraska does a big segment, and I'm sure Iowa and Iowa State does too, where they're like, here's what happened with former Hawkeyes in the NFL this past week. And they do it week after week, and they give you updates on each individual player and what they did if they had a standout week. Well, obviously, Nebraska hasn't sent a lot of guys to the draft these last few years. So, like last year, there was a couple, man, that was like obviously outside of Levante David or, these big name guys that have been in the league for 10 plus years now. We always jokingly said, like, Pro Big Red, Nebraska defensive lineman, graduate in 2021, sold life insurance to Kathy Moore, 63 years old from Kearney. Like, that is just the way it's been. So if I don't talk shit on Nebraska often, but very funny if your team doesn't get a lot of draft picks after having a lot of draft picks, they got to cancel segments. So shout out Nebraska. If you're listening, some guy running that, just cancel Pro Big Red until we get some names flowing in there again, please. But all right, let's end the show on a funny light note there, but let's catch up again next week. We'll cover some more college football. The transfer portal window is getting tight. It's almost closed. So we'll follow along with that and let you know the best we can throughout the process. We appreciate you being here. Pick up your Play the Fight Song stickers. Hit us in the DMs today. We'll get them out to you. We love you. We appreciate your support. Follow, subscribe, shop no rivals. We'll see you next week. Jake, take us away.
122 days. Let's play it.